Warm greetings from Rohini College of Engineering and Technology video lecture series. I am Professor Radhika from Chemistry Department. In this previous video, we discussed about what is meant by environment, ecosystem. We discussed that the structure as well as it's the function of an ecosystem. In this video, we discuss about the energy flow takes place in an ecosystem via food chain, food web as well as food pyramids, and we discuss about the ecological succession. We know that after the successful completion of our first unit, students can illustrate or explain the important features of ecosystem as well as biodiversity. Let us see what is meant by food chain. Via food chain, how the energy flow takes place. So food chain is nothing but the sequence of eating and being eaten in an ecosystem is known as the food chain. That is, the transfer of food energy from plants through a series of organisms are known as the food chain. For example, the food which is passed from plants to primary consumer to secondary consumer, and secondary to tertiary. So here the producers are plants. They can synthesize their own food via photosynthesis. From this, the food energy is passed to primary consumer, then it is transferred to secondary, and finally it reaches to the tertiary and decomposes. Normally, the food chains are classified into two types. One is grazing food chain and detritus food chain. Food web. Food web are nothing but the interlocking patterns of various food chain in an ecosystem is called as a food web. Many food chains are interconnected is called as a food web. For example, the energy flow takes place from grass to insects, insects to fish, fish to bird, bird to tiger. This is one food chain. Similarly, another food chain is grass, grass to rat, rat to snake, snake to eagle, eagle to tiger. This is also another one food chain. Similarly, from grass to deer, deer to tiger. This is also another one food chain. But all these kinds of food chains are interconnected, interlocking pattern. So, it is known as the food web. The important difference between the food chain and food web is, in food chain, if any one species gets affected, the species in all tropical levels are also affected. But in food web, if any one species gets affected, it does not affect the other tropical levels. The next one is the ecological pyramid. The graphical representation of structure and function of tropical level of an ecosystem is called as the ecological pyramids. These ecological pyramids are classified into three types: pyramids of number, pyramids of energy, and pyramids of biomass. Pyramids of number means it represents the number of each individual organisms present in each tropical level. For example, in a forest ecosystem, the grass which is a producer, which is in the large quantity, which occupies at the bottom of the pyramid. Then the grass is eaten by grasshopper, then the grasshopper is eaten by frog, then it is eaten by snake, and it is finally eaten by hawk. Okay, so here the number of individual organisms are arranged based on the tropical level. So it is called as a pyramids of number. Via this pyramid, the food energy is passed from one consumer level to another consumer level. Similarly, pyramids of energy, which represents the amount of energy present in each individual organisms present in the each tropical level. So always we know that in a pyramid, the producers occupies at the bottom, then primary consumer, after that secondary, tertiary, at the top the decomposers are occupying. And finally, pyramids of biomass. So the amount of living or organic matter present in a particular environment is called as a biomass. That is there is a decrease in the biomass from the lower tropical level to the higher tropical level. Okay, so like the pyramids of energy as well as pyramids of number, the high amount of organic matter is present at the bottom of the pyramid, and it is slowly decreased, and finally at the top the quantity becomes very less, that is the biomass becomes less. In this way, the energy is passed from one consumer into another consumer. Now we discuss about ecological succession. So ecological succession means the progressive replacement of one community by another till the development of stable community in a particular area is known as a ecological succession. This ecological succession having the following process. One is nudation, invasion, competition, reaction and stabilization. So nudation is nothing but it is the development of the bare area without any life form. Invasion means it is the establishment of one or more species on a bare area through migration followed by establishment. For example, migration means the seeds which are brought about by wind, water or bats. Establishment means the seed then germinate and grow on the land and establishes their pioneer community. Then the third process is a competition. There is a competition with the same species and between different species for space, water and nutrients. And fourth one is a reaction. The living organisms take water, nutrients and grow and modify the environment is known as the reaction. And finally stabilization. It leads to make a stable community which is in balance with the environment. Let us see the stages of ecological succession. Pioneer community. First group of organisms which establish their community in the area is known as a pioneer community. Serial community means the various developmental stages of a community is called as a series. Similarly, the ecological succession also classified into two types. One is primary and secondary succession. Primary succession means it involves the gradual establishment of biotic community on a lifeless ground. If it is the establishment start at a watery area means it is called as a hydrac, that is from pond or lake. Similarly, if the established started in a dry area like a desert rock means it is called as a serac. Secondary succession means it involves the establishment of biotic community in an area where some biotic community is already present. So in this video we discuss about what is meant by ecological succession, what are its types, what are the process, what are the steps involved in the ecological succession, as well as how the energy flow takes place from passed from one consumer into another consumer via food chain, food web and food pyramids. Thank you all.